Let's talk about the Grave Danger upgrades. Our commander is Gisa and Geralf. For 2 blue and black, we have a 4/4 human wizard. When it enters the battlefield, we're going to mill 4 cards, and during each of our turns, we may cast a zombie creature spell from our graveyard. So moving on to the upgrades, let's talk about some of the sack outlets we have, and that's going to be Carrion Feeder, Geralf Visionary Stitcher, and Ghoul Caller Gisa. Carrion Feeder is going to be really important to us because we're able to sacrifice a creature. We get to put a +1/+1 counter on Carrion Feeder, but if our zombie has an ETB trigger, we sacrifice it and then cast it from our graveyard with our commander. We're able to get that every single turn. With Geralf, we can pay a blue and tap it to sacrifice another non-token creature, and we get an XX blue zombie creature token, where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness, and it's also giving all of our zombies flying, which can be very powerful. Ghoul Caller Gisa, we can pay a black and tap it to sacrifice another creature, and then we'll create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. Moving on to making some tokens, we have Dread Summons, where we can pay X and 2 black at sorcery speed. Each player mills X cards. For each creature card put into a graveyard this way, you create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. And this is going to be great for us already because putting zombies into our graveyard is actually a big benefit to us, and potentially other players putting creatures in their graveyard isn't going to be as great for them as it is for us. Headless Rider. Whenever Headless Rider or another non-token zombie you control dies, we're going to create a 2/2 black token zombie. So we can essentially replace the zombie that's dead, and it's still going to be in our graveyard, which we can cast later. Moving on to card draw, we have Kindred Discovery. When it enters the battlefield, we'll choose a creature type, which will be zombie, and whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, we get to draw a card. This is going to be super sweet. Secrets of the Dead. Whenever we cast a spell from our graveyard, we get to draw a card. Wilhelt the Rock Cleaver. Whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. That means it can't block, and when it attacks, we have to sacrifice it at the end of combat. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie, and if you do, draw a card. Next, let's talk about Ghoul's Night Out. For 3 and 2 black, it's a sorcery that says for each player, choose a creature card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. They're black zombies in addition to their other colors and types, and they gain Decayed. And if we need to bring our creatures back, we have cards like Patriarch's Bidding. For 3 and 2 black, it's a sorcery that says each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all creatures of a type chosen this way from their graveyard to the battlefield. There's also Death Baron for 1 and 2 black. Skeletons you control and other zombies you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. Reflections of Litjara. When it enters the battlefield, we'll choose a creature type, so we'll choose zombie, and whenever we cast a spell of the chosen type, we get to copy that spell, so that means we're going to have tokens of the zombies that we're casting. Rooftop Storm, so this is going to make all of our zombie spells cost 0. There's also Fact or Fiction. We reveal the top 5 cards of our library, and an opponent separates those into 2 piles. One goes into our hand and the other into our graveyard, and this will be a hard decision for them because zombie creatures, whether they're in our hand or our graveyard, we're going to be able to cast. There's also a couple lands that were pretty cheap. There's Darkwater Catacomb and Tainted Isle. These are both under 75 cents, and they weren't already in the deck. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like any of these cards, they'll be in the description down below. Check out this playlist for the rest of the upgrades for the Commander starter decks, and thank you to the patrons who help support this show. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.